Hi, so today I want to talk about some research that I've been doing recently. And the research is about the best and the cheapest cosmetic home improvements you can do to resell your house. So I'm not talking about the big remodels. And unfortunately, what I found really strange is that all the research that I've been doing, it really points to the big major remodels, which is really not what I would recommend. Hi, I'm Sveta from Home Staging Step by Step, and I want to talk about the cosmetics remodels that you can do, which will increase the value of your house and will allow you to sell it at a best possible price. So I took down some notes because I don't want to forget anything. And before I do, there's a couple of things I want to let you know. One is that I finally started a business Pinterest account, and you can find it under pinterest.ca or pinterest.com/homestaging step by step. So I would really appreciate it if you follow me on Pinterest, and I put all sorts of interesting articles and information and stuff there. And the other thing is that before you do anything, and I'll mention it again at the end of the live, is that before you do anything and start doing any kind of renovations or upgrades or improvements, I really think that you should take our free home staging optimizer quiz that I have, and I have the link to it right above the video. I think it's above. Okay, let's talk about the home improvements. So the first thing is curb appeal, but curb appeal is your first, people's first impression when they come. So it is very important that you actually do something about it and check it and make sure that it looks good, but please do not spend thousands and thousands of dollars to redo the landscape, for example, because it's really not necessary. And I can see a friend of mine, Maria, is watching me. So hi, Maria. So the first thing in terms of our curb appeal is make sure that the grass is cut, that your bushes are cut, that everything is clean and decluttered, that people can easily walk to the house and also around the house. And then what you can do is maybe add some plants or flowers. Make sure that you check your light fixtures outside, exterior light fixtures, your lights, your mailbox, your windows if they're clean or dirty. So just work on the landscaping, but at a very minimal level, just making sure that everything is clean and nice and welcoming. So that a lot of that stuff you can actually do yourself, so that shouldn't cost you too much money. Maybe just buying some plants, maybe a couple $100 with flowers or plants or bushes that you want to plant there. So that's number one. Number two is definitely flooring. So you have to look at the flooring that you've got. And today everybody likes hardwood flooring, and there's no question about it. So carpeting is really not in fashion anymore, but I do understand that maybe it's not possible for you to replace all the carpeting. So let's talk about both possibilities. So the best thing is if you can lift the carpet up somewhere. So for example, in a closet, and you can look underneath and you see by chance, hopefully you have hardwood flooring, then that is the best. So if you can afford it and you can move the furniture out, I definitely do recommend replacing the carpeting, taking it out. And if you have hardwood floors underneath, then you can maybe resand it and varnish it. But I know it is a big job, but it's really worth it, and it's really going to increase the value of your house if you can do it. If you cannot do the whole house, option number two would be to maybe do some areas, which could be common areas of your house where people walk the most. So probably that's where the carpeting is the most used anyway. So if you can do the entrance, the hallway, maybe the living room, dining room area at least, and then leave the carpet if you must in your bedroom. So that would be option number two. Option number three is if you cannot get rid of the carpeting for financial reasons or time frame, or just because it's too complicated because you live in the house, then if you really must leave the carpet, The only thing that I do recommend is making sure that it is at its best. So you have to have it professionally cleaned. And when I say professionally cleaned, that's what I really mean. So you have to hire a company and make sure that maybe you're not in the house for a couple of days to let it dry, but get it as clean as possible. So that is very important because people look for flooring as one of the top features that they are looking at in the house. Number 3, and that one's probably my favorite because it's proportionately inexpensive to the return on your investment and to the difference that it actually makes in the look of your house. It's pretty amazing. And I don't know if you guessed it, but I'm going to talk about interior paint. And honestly, interior paint can make such a huge difference that you can't even believe it. I've seen it so many times. I have stories and stories that I could tell you where, for example, and it's more than once, people came in to see a house. They did not like it. They did not make an offer. Then the seller would call me and I would come in and we repainted the house, most of the house or all of the house or some of the rooms, different situations, different things. But the point is, once it was done, and then we staged it a little bit, some of the same people came back a second time and they actually purchased that house. And honestly, the difference was, a couple of $1,000s worth of paint and maybe some furniture arranged differently and moved around and maybe some accessories added. So putting a fresh coat of paint in a neutral, nice, warm, trendy color will upgrade the look of your house like nothing else. So that would be my top number 1 recommendation. If there's nothing else you can do, really, really try to be critical and objective and to look at your house, go room by room and maybe pick the rooms that have the most outdated colors, the oldest colors, where there are chips or fissures or just looks dirty, and do that. Really, really make a big effort on repainting those rooms and you'll be very thankful to me. And hi, Stephanie, I see you. And then, so we're number 3 so far. We have the curb appeal, which you really need to work it, which is the exterior appearance of your house and the first impression. We have the flooring, and if you can, go for hardwood flooring, and if you cannot, maybe floating floors for less expensive homes. And if nothing else, then cleaning the carpets at the minimum. Now the number 4 is the cosmetic updates to your kitchen and your bathrooms. And the key word here is cosmetic. I really don't think that it's worth your money to do a full remodel of a kitchen or bathrooms. Even if you have the money, if you have the time, in most cases, you shouldn't be doing it for selling the house because you will just not get the return on your investment. And it's a proven fact. Now, if you're thinking of selling your house in 2 or 3 years from now, and you really want to have a new kitchen or your bathroom is just really awful and you want to renovate it, then maybe it would be worth it. You don't have to go super expensive, super luxurious, but it would be worth it because you would get to enjoy it for the next couple of years. But if you're doing it purely for reselling the house, for staging, then I definitely don't think it's worth it. You won't get your money back. What's worth it though is that you can do some cosmetic changes. So some of the ideas for you is, for example, something that's very easy to do. Of course, paint. Paint is always important. The other thing you could do is maybe install some really nice backsplashes. Usually it's a small area to cover, so you can go a little bit more expensive, a little more fun with your tiles or your glass tiles. And it wouldn't be very much of an expense, but it would really change the look of your kitchen or your bathroom. You can also paint or replace some cabinets if it's worth it, and that could make a big difference as well. You can replace the faucets if they're leaking or they're old or they're rusty. That's super important. And you can also replace a kitchen and bathroom hardware in terms of your cabinets, handles, and that I always recommend to do, because again, it's something that would probably cost a couple $100 at the maximum, but it really changes the look of the kitchen and it can really modernize it. One other thing, if the layout of your kitchen is acceptable and if everything is good, sometimes it's the countertop that makes a big difference and it makes the kitchen look dated. So that's another option for you, where you can shop around for, doesn't necessarily have to be granite or quartz. Now they make very nice laminate countertops. You know, I always like IKEA stuff. You can find a nice countertop that's not too expensive and have that replaced. And then again, that would upgrade the look of your kitchen. Last is the tiled floors. If your tiled floors are chipped or are not in good condition, there are all sorts of options today. You can put tiles on top of tiles. You can look into putting a vinyl floor in the kitchen on top of the tiles. So there are things that can be done which are very budget friendly, but will really upgrade your kitchen. That was our number 4. And our last one, which is the light fixtures. And that one, I don't really find a lot of people are thinking about that, because, you know, light fixtures, it's not something that we look at. We just get so used to them that sometimes 20 years go by and you just don't realize that you have, you know, light fixtures from 1990s because you just don't look up. But it's super important because people who will visit your house will notice them. And again, it really dates the house. So I would definitely recommend for you to walk around, start with the exterior of the house, look at the exterior light fixtures, then at the light fixtures at your entrance, your hallway, your common areas, and then, you know, your bedrooms if you have any light fixtures there. And I definitely recommend upgrading them and changing them if they're dated, you know, because again, you want to modernize your house. You want to buy something that's neutral, contemporary. Doesn't have to be something that's very expensive. You can go to the big surface hardware stores and find, you know, perfectly acceptable light fixtures there. But it is very important. So these are my top 5 easy and not so expensive suggestions for improving your house. I'm Sveta from homestagingstepbystep.com. And just before I finish, let's just review that very quickly. So then the 5 are the working on your curb appeal of the house, looking at the flooring situation and figuring out how you can best improve it on a budget, definitely fresh coat of paint, some cosmetic upgrades for your kitchen and your bathrooms, and improving, changing, upgrading your light fixtures. So those are my 5 tips for you today. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this live, before you do anything, I highly recommend that you take our house sale optimizer quiz, which will help you determine, you know, what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths of the house as is today, and it will give you a clear picture on whether you might not be making as much money as you should be making if you leave things as they are today. So it will probably give you great motivation to actually do some of those upgrades that we're talking about. If you have any questions for me, please reach out and I'll be happy to work with you or just answer your questions. Sveta from homestagingstepbystep.com, and I'll see you soon.